Um, Islam, or like Islam, and welcome to the Moorish Light continues. Gotta make sure all my stuff is right there. And of course, today our session will be walking in the footsteps of the Prophet, walking in the constitutional footsteps of the Prophet, and we will be using the Divine Warning, the first three paragraphs of the Divine Warning from the Prophet. So hopefully, so let's see. Let's say I need to close this out and go back here. Okay. I'm trying to make sure I only have one tab open. So just bear with me a second. Y'all know I'm new at this, so y'all walking with me as I learn to learn. And I don't see another session, but if there is one, I need to make sure I get rid of it. I think I did. Okay, so of course, welcome to the Moorish Light continues. The revolution will be a podcast. So first, I rise giving praises to the causeless cause and the rootless root from which all things have grown, and that will be Allah. I give honor to Prophet Noble Drew Ali in the first, second, and third form. I give honor to this new dispensation. August 1st, 1928, 2:52 p.m. Honors to my teacher, Grand Sheikh Richardson Dingle Il, Prophet Noble Drew Ali III, as well as to Grand Sheikh Timothy Dingle Il, hyphen Prophet Noble Drew Ali, modern day Moses and Aaron, God, man, and prophet. I give honor to my home temple at 1055 North Milton Avenue, and to our Grand Sheikh is there. Grand Sheikh is Tiffany Jones Bag. Honors to Supreme Grand Sheikh and Sheikh is Pratha Eel. Honor to all those who have walked before me, beside me, and those who will walk after me. I would just like to also give honor to our royal staff at 1055 North Milton Avenue. So as I'm venturing on, we will be using the Moorish literature, the Divine Warning for the Nations. And one of the reasons why we're going to do this is that we need to look at the constitutional aspect of what the prophet is talking about. He says several on three different acts that we are part and parcel of this said government. And and so we need to understand what that means. Today I'm going to do it from the Moorish literature. Another time I'll do it historically. So as we move forward, I hope you walk away with something that you did not have before. Now, the divine warning for the nations is an editorial, and I'm going to see if I can. Um, I'm so new at this. Let's see. All right, that's not what I want to do. Maybe it's down here. Okay. Oh, I do have a share button. Okay. I'm learning. I'm learning. I'm so proud of myself. So let me go back here. Let me go here. Share. I share the screen. And I want to go to, where do I want to go to? I'm going to have to use the Morse Guide online. So I'll just do that. Okay. So this is a divine warning by the prophet for the nations. And, I would really love it if when we get our stuff totally in order. So this starts off a divine warning by the prophet for the nations. So he's not just talking to us as Moorish Americans. He's trying to let us know what's going to happen um, with the nations. And I forgot something. I don't have my co-host. I'm working solo. So I always start reading from the Holy Quran of Mecca. And this is Surah 31. And we're going to read ayats 5 and 6. These are on true guidance from their Lord, and these are the ones who will prosper. They get the blessings because they submit their will to Allah's will and receive His guidance, and they will do well in this life from the highest standpoint and will reach their true goal in the future. So, what does that mean exactly? What that means is that um, obedience to the law, following in the prophet's footsteps. Because, see, a lot of us assume that intellectualizing is following in the prophet's footsteps. Well, the prophet was very simplistic. He didn't intellectualize, but he did use wisdom. And wisdom, of course, comes from understanding, being humble, and sitting and gaining guidance through more science, because more science is not by any means self-taught. And then Ayat 6 says, but there are among men those who purchase idle tales without knowledge or meaning, to mislead men from the path of Allah and throw ridicule on the path. For such there will be a humiliating penalty. Conversations to beware of. Temple Moors. Those are temple Moors. Well, the Prophet set up the Moor Science Temple Divine and National Movement, and he set it up by setting up temples. So if you have a problem with the temple or Moors who go to the temple, you are out of order according to law, because the law says every member must attend his meetings, support his wife and children, wife obey their husband, support all necessities, be a part and parcel of all activities of the Moorish Science Temple, be a part and parcel of all activities in order to be entitled to the name of faithful. So if you're standing on the outside talking about we're temple Moors, you're not even following the basic steps, the very first steps, which is Act 7. That's the guideline for members. So if you're not following Act 7, you are just totally, totally out of order. Stop trying to tell people that you got this better than we do. Because the temple is where you need to be. I know our body is a temple. I know all those stories. But in order to learn more science, you must step into the physical building where there are instructors prepared to guide and lead you. And the footnote says, life is taken seriously by men who realize the issues that hang upon it. But there are men of a frivolous turn of mind who prefer idle tales to true realities, and they are justly rebuked here. In the time of a prophet, there was a pagan, Nadir ibn al-Harith, who preferred Persian romance to the message of Allah, and turned away ignorant men from the preachings of Allah's words. And that's what you're doing. All these off branch governments and all these off branch and study groups, all these things you're doing, you need to do it via the Moorish Science Temple. Follow the script. Follow the script. And all will be well, and we will reach our destination. So let's go. Let me see. I gotta find it now. What did I do with it? Okay, here we go. So as I said, we're going to go through the first 3 paragraphs of the Divine Warning for the Prophet, and we're going to connect some things as we go along. The first paragraph says to us, the citizens of all free national governments, according to their national constitution, are all one family bearing one free national name. Those who fail to recognize the free national name of their constitutional government are classed as undesirables and are subject to all inferior names and abuses and mistreatments that the citizens care to bestow upon them. And listen to this carefully. And it is a sin, a sin, a sin for any group of people to violate the national constitutional laws of a free national government and cling to the names and the principles that allude to slavery. I have somebody on my Facebook page trying to convince me that they're black. They went from black to the soul school, and they're just going all over the place. Then they done went into different colors, like the pink Arabs made the Moors. This is the kind of nonsense. Now, none of what he's saying is making sense, but in his misunderstanding, he thinks he's all right in what he's doing. But it's sad that as a people, we don't understand our condition. So when we talk about names that allude to slavery, Negro, black, colored, darky, coon, shine, African, melanated. I don't know what else y'all keep coming up with some new ones, and some of them I don't know. But none of those things attach you to a land, a language. And one of the reasons why you're not attached to a name or language is because you haven't gone through an emancipation process, which we were guaranteed by law. And at this stage, the whole country needs to be emancipated, because we all caught up in this recklessness of social rights as opposed to being citizens. So it's very essential that we learn, especially as Moors, that we have a constitutional character that we must uphold. Last week we talked about the political constitution, the political religion of the country, which is the Constitution. So as we move forward, we need to clearly understand. So just because I'm here and I done learned how to share, y'all in for something now. I just want to make sure y'all understand that the prophet knows exactly what he's talking about. I don't want to know. I want the image. Take the map out. Now, here is the pictures of the Negro River. And this is my favorite one right here. There's the Negro River. You can see if I can enlarge this. You can see the black water. Yeah. You can see the black water, and then you can see the river that runs beside it. And make note that they don't mix. Look at them. They're two rivers, but they never, you don't see them rivers mixing. Look at them. They stay, they keep their own identity. And that's something that we lost. So I just wanted to say, because it says, what is a Negro? Negro is a name of a river that contains black water. So that's real. And you're going to find that a lot of what the prophet talks about is real. So we're going to go back to, so these names we cling to. Along with these names comes principles. And they're not the best principles. It's hatred, slander, lewdness, murder, theft, and everything that harms. Along with that came supposed protection. That protection is supposed to make the so-called Negro fit into society. But your plantation, you don't have to pick cotton anymore. You just have to serve in offices and do different things to perpetuate a system that you already know is unfair. So let's walk with the prophet just a little bit more. So it goes on to say that I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways and go back to the state of mind of their forefathers, divine and national principles. So once you do that, you're no longer clinging to the names, names and principles that delude to slavery. Because some of us will claim Moorish, but we still cling to those principles that delude to slavery. So there has to be an overall change, a 360-degree change in you and your life. It says they will be one, law abiders and receive their divine right as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. So a question should pop up in your head. What is the free national constitution? Not right now, but just hold it, keep that thought. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. Because we just discovered the Negro is a river, black is a color, Africa is a continent, Ethiopia is a demarcation line, melanin is found in anything that has color, from the plant to the bud. It says there is but how many issues? One issue. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only. Let me make this bigger because somebody might not be able to see. Let me make sure I got this big enough. And it comes only. And it comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement. Let me read that again. There is but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth. It comes only through the connection of the Moorish divine national movement. Didn't say set up a government, but we do what we do. And let's understand what the movement is, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. So at this point, the prophet has done his job. Now it's up to us to catch up to him. But we keep trying to bring it down to our level instead of raising our minds up. And it says through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens. They can cast a free national ballot, listen carefully, at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's government, and not under granted privilege as has been an existing condition for many generations. Now that granted privilege is civil rights. voting rights. Because let it be known, all citizens have civil rights. So why not fight for citizenship instead of claiming to be a citizen under some granted privileges that somebody has to renew every 21 years? Because the plan, you have to know the plan. The plan was for us to go through an emancipation process to gain our actual freedom and become actual participants, part and partial of the government. Participants. That's the plan. Still the plan. The plan hasn't changed. Our scope and vision needs to change. We have to see ourselves as part of the government, not under it, but part of it. Because we should be directing the destiny of our nation of people. Now, when I said pay attention to the free national constitution of the states' governments, right now you don't have that. Why don't you have that? Should be the question. Because during Reconstruction, the Congress, the radical Republicans, restructured the government, and now instead of states having rights to implement policies within their realms, they have to go according to what the federal government says. And that's not guaranteeing each state a Republican form of government. Remember, we're taking a constitutional walk with the prophet. So let me check back over because somebody might have a question. Let's see. Let me go to my phone. And if you want to see this live, I will post it up on Facebook after I do this recording. So let's go back. So we're going to stop sharing for a second. I'm starting to feel comfortable. Oh my goodness, y'all. I'm starting to feel comfortable. So I'm going to share my screen again. We're going to go back to the Morse God. And we're going to finish reading it. So we see a couple of things that hasn't happened. The states are no longer the states no longer have a Republican form of government. We are currently living under the names and principles that delude to slavery. And the slavery doesn't necessarily mean you have to have a shackle, a physical shackle on you. Slavery can mean you have a shackle on your mind. And that's where we're at now, in mental slavery. And so, therefore, things we aren't trained to think, we have a problem with, because we're shaking. When somebody in a deep sleep and you shake them up, they don't like that. I know I don't. So he says, I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God Allah to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways. Remember, sinful ways, clinging to names and principles that delude to slavery. So some people might start thinking about stealing and lying and cheating. Right now, we're talking about the big sin, clinging to names and principles that delude to slavery. And it says, and am I reading the same thing? Oh, yes. I, the prophet, was prepared by the great God to warn my people to repent from their sinful ways, go back to the state of mind. Hear this? So, this is a mind thing. Go back to the state of mind to their forefathers' divine and national principles. That they will be what? Law abiders and receive their divine rights as citizens according to the free national constitution that was prepared for all free national beings. They are to claim their own free national name and religion. And of course, there's but one issue for them to be recognized by this government and of the earth, and it comes only through the connection of the Moorish Divine National Movement, which is incorporated in this government and recognized by all other nations of the world. Through it, they and their children can receive their divine rights unmolested by other citizens, and they can cast a free national ballot at the polls under the free national constitution of the state's governments and not under granted privilege, as has been the existing case. So then we're going to go down to this next paragraph. And it says, "You who doubt whether I, the prophet, and my principles are right for the redemption." Redemption, y'all. Redemption. Redeem. Restore. Resurrect. Redemption, people. Come on. Of my people. Go to those that know law in the city hall and among the officials in your government and ask them under an intelligent tone. Not an intellectual tone, an intelligent tone. There's a difference. Intellectual, you're gonna run off a bunch of rhetoric. And you might say things that's not true under intellectualizing. But under an intelligent tone, you're gonna be able to go in and say, well, something didn't happen. You said we supposed to be free, but why am I still calling myself? Why are people still labeled as black? Why are we still carrying the so-called slave master's name? Why don't I have a nationality? Why am I identifying with a continent that has 54 countries? Why am I even dealing with this term black? One of the most negative terms you ever want to see. So let's read a little further. The wealth of all national governments, gold, silver, commerce, belong to the citizens alone. And without your national citizenship by name and principles, you have no true wealth. And look, the prophet calling for help. Listen, I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for what? A national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work. Because I need all support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. So no, we don't have no. See, in order to do that, you got to get the hate out and get the understanding in place of the hate. The understanding means you can deal with anybody, anywhere, without that plantation fear that exists in some of us. Because some of us have plantation fear. We only real serious when we're around each other. It says the wealth of all national governments. Let me see. It says money doesn't make the man, and that's what everybody's chasing right now. Money doesn't make the man. It is free national standards and power that makes a man in a nation. The wealth of all national governments, gold and silver and commerce belong to the citizens alone, and without your national citizenship, by name and principles, you have no true wealth. I am hereby calling on all true citizens that stand for a national free government and the enforcement of the Constitution to help me in my great missionary work, because I need all the support from all true American citizens of the United States of America. Help me save my people who have fallen from the constitutional laws of the government. I am dependent on your support to get them back to the constitutional fold again, that they will learn to love instead of hate and will live according to love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, supporting our free national Constitution of the United States of America. Because, see, a lot of us study the Constitution, but you need to understand that there is a free national Constitution of the United States that would never, ever endorse slavery, that would never, ever justify us keeping these slave labels, that would never, ever justify us still carrying names that label us as property, that would never, ever justify the hatred and the self-destruction that we do. The free national Constitution does not allow that to happen. But you have to know, what is the free national Constitution? What does it look like? It doesn't look like the 14th Amendment, I can guarantee you that. It doesn't look like the 13th Amendment with 2 sections. And if you don't want to look at it that way, the free national Constitution is connected to the initial Emancipation Proclamation, because it became law on December 15th, 1862, and it is still law on, what's the date of the day? July 22nd, 2025. So you want to talk about more, you want to talk about something, put the civil rights down. Let's talk about what the prophet asked us to talk about. Let's get on his page. Because all these other things y'all doing, all these fantasies and delusions, and I'm in power and I'm in charge, we need to get rid of these middlemen. And you need to pick up your Moorish literature and you need to read it, because it is our guide. It does tell us how the movement is supposed to be run. We're supposed to have a national treasure where all our funds are funneled to, so that we can build up what you call, what is it, collateral? With that collateral, we can start building and doing some things. But because we don't live by love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice, we afraid. We scared to do that. So you got all these little kingdoms, or all these little temples, or all these little this and that, as opposed to one united Moorish divine and national movement. I'm going to preach this. I'm going to teach this. I'm going to live this until somebody's hear the prophet. I'm not asking you to hear me. I want you to hear the prophet. He brought the message, and I'm just a willing little student who holds on to the prophets every word. Yes, I do. I will not tell a lie. I do. Because I know the prophet's way is right and the other way is wrong. So why are we talking about this? Because I'm going to stop sharing for a minute. Why are we talking about this? Because we've got to get on the same page. All you little moles I see you on Facebook. I can identify every last one of you who are not in a temple and think you know more science. I can do that. So let's see. Where am I at? Up. Oops. Oh, here we go. I'm learning. So I'm just trying to, what did I do? I need to end something. Okay, so now that's where we're going to go from there. And when I post this, you're free to ask your questions. I have, what did I do? Give me a second. Okay, so we've talked about the Constitution from that particular from the prophet, and so in order to understand that, you definitely have to understand Acts 6 and the history uh, between 1779 and 1865, which dates during the time of slavery. And it says that because legally slavery ended in 1865, but 2025 we still live in those principles of slavery. We still doing that, and we need to truly, truly get away from that. I'm trying to put my flags in here. So I don't know if anybody's joined, but I'm going to check. Okay, but I will post this after I'm finished. So a lot of times, and I do this in my history and law class, and I'm going to do it here because, and I'm going to do this here because it says that man is the Lord of all the plane of manifest of protoplast of man is the Lord of protoplast plane of manifest of protoplast of mineral of plane of beast, but he gave up his birthrights just to gratify his lower self. And that's what happened. We gave up our birthrights. Some of us got beat, but some of us just gave it up. Just real easy. Because we wanted to chase after gods we knew nothing of. We wanted to follow the European, and that's a big problem with us today. He follow us, we follow him. He sits and learns from us and do what we do, and we don't understand how when history gets written, we don't get credit for what we've done. So it says birthrights, and I need us to understand or take the time to actually study what is birthrights. Every nation has them. You don't have them under Negro, Black, and Colored. So since I'm at this place, I'm going to share again. And and I just want to put this on your minds because let me see, I need the dictionary because I'm still trying to understand how we have PhDs. Matter of fact, I'm going to do it another way. What is a black person? And I want you to listen carefully to what they say. Black people, Black people generally refer to a racial group of people, a dark skin color, who have origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa. Like Africa has 54 continents, don't forget that. The term is mainly used for people of sub Saharan African descent, but also includes certain groups in Oceania and Southeast Asia. I want you to hear this. It says in the United States, the U.S. Census defines black or African American as a person having origins in any of the black racial groups of Africa, including those indicated in their race as black or African American, or report entries such as African American, Kenyan, Nigerian, or Haitian. These classifications also encompass a range of skin pigmentation from the darkest to the very light color. It is important to note that the term black has evolved and has been reclaimed by the community as a term of empowerment and solidarity, particularly since the civil rights era in the 1960s. That's according to the Pratt Institute. It represents a shared heritage, experience of resilience, pride among individuals of African descent, according to Febio. So then, what I need to do, because we need to understand this as scholars, as a teacher, when I want my children to understand something, you know what I do? I take them to the dictionary. I take them right to the dictionary and I say, look the word up. Okay. And so I'm going to do that for you. And it, of course, it reemphasizes the black racial group. But then let's look at the word itself. Let's look at the word itself. Because, we got to stop with the trying to make life fit into our little tiny bubble. So we have, let me enlarge this for you because I want you to be able to see it. Being a color that lacks hue, and hue is our skin, right? That lacks hue and brightness, absorbs light without reflecting any rays composing it. Then they give you some examples: ebony, sable, inky. Characterized, number two, characterized by the absence of light. Soiled or stained with dirt. 4. Gloomy, pessimistic, dismal. Let's keep going. 5. Deliberately harmful. 6. Boding ill, sullen, or hostile. 7. Without milk or cream in your coffee or tea. Without any moral quality or goodness. Now, we got people with PhDs. That's the highest you can get. Telling us we this. 8 was without any moral quality or goodness. 9, indicating censure, disgrace, or liability to punishment. Marked by disaster or misfortune. 11, wearing black or dark clothing or armor. 12, based on the grotesque, morbid, or unpleasant aspects of life. 13, done or written in black to indicate, as on a list, which is undesirable, substandard, potentially dangerous. Illegal or underground. Showing the profit, not showing losses. Deliberately false or intentionally misleading. 18, in the form in which it comes from a steel, in the form in which it comes from the rolling mill. Then you have the color at one extreme end of the scales of gray, opposite to white. To become black, take on black, blacken. So I can't understand why anybody would want to be that. But of course, people choose what they choose. So, we're getting ready to close. We're getting ready to wind down, and I don't want to wind down on that. But I do want us to wind down on chapter 48. Let's see if I can get there. And this is called The End of Time and the Fulfilling of the Prophecies. The last prophet in these days is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared divinely in due time by Allah to redeem men from their sinful ways. They got a term again, sinful ways, to warn them of the great and wrath which is sure to come upon the earth. John the Baptist was the forerunner of Jesus in those days to warn and stir up the nation and prepare them to receive the divine creed which was to be taught by Jesus. In these modern days, there came a forerunner of Jesus who was divinely prepared by the great God Allah. His name is Marcus Garvey, who did teach and warn the nations of the earth to prepare to meet the coming king, who was to bring the true and divine creed of Islam. His name is Noble Drew Ali, who was prepared and sent to this earth by Allah to teach the old time religion and the everlasting gospel to the sons of men, that every nation shall and must worship under their own vine and fig tree, and return to their own and be one with their Father, God Allah. The Moorish Science Temple of America is a lawfully chartered and incorporated organization. Any subordinate temple that desires to receive a charter, the Prophet has them to issue to every state throughout the United States. The world may hear and know the truth about the descendants of Africa. There is still much wisdom to be learned in these days for the redemption of the sons of men under love, truth, peace, freedom, and justice. We, as a clean and pure nation descended from the inhabitants of Africa, do not desire to amalgamate or marry into the families of the pale-skinned nations of Europe, neither serve the gods of their religion, because our forefathers are the true and divine founders of the first religious creed for the redemption and salvation of mankind on earth. Therefore, we are returning the church and Christianity back to the European nations as it was prepared by their forefathers for their earthly salvation, while we, the Moorish Americans, are returning to Islam, which was founded by our forefathers for our earthly and divine salvation. The covenant of the great God Allah. Honor thy father and thy mother, that thy days may be long upon the earth land, which the Lord thy God Allah hath given thee. Come, all ye Asiatics of America, hear the truth about your nationality and birthrights. Because you are not Negroes, learn of your forefathers' ancient and divine creed, that you will learn to love instead of hate. We are trying to uplift fallen humanity. Come, link yourselves with the families of nations. We honor all the true and divine prophets. And, just some things are just so fulfilling. And it's a lot in this chapter. And I'm not going to try to start that at this late stage in the program. But I think I want to share a poem I wrote to somebody before we close out, that I wrote. Because somebody told me that they was in a soul school. So this was my response. Soul School. It was a man made creation on the plantation, incorporated in the nation. Still, no place of respect or identity, just a life of imitating. No clear definition, a life of hoping and wishing. No respect, no place in history, so lame with no destiny. Brag about things that are of no worth, where it is a shame to be ignorant, walking unaware, imitating his so called master, because in him he seek truth. Lied to, denied to. Not sense enough to try to make a genuine change, grasping at straws and settling for crumbs. This is not soul, it is mental slavery served on a tray of civil rights, voting rights, and docility. This is your soul school, a place with no destiny. Let me, when the illusion is gone, I got a plate of reality and real truth to share. So stay starving, deprived of truth, in the darkness, the blindness, and a mental deathbed. Your choice is your choice is your own. But when you're ready to rise above it, give me a call. I will introduce you to the Drew and draw you a beautiful picture of yourself. Peace and love. So that's my poem for the day. So I think I'm going to incorporate my poems in my show. So let me uh, let me okay, I gotta get to the right place here. Y'all know I get lost real easy. Let's see if I minimize this up. I ain't do it. Oh, here we go. So